Viewers, let me tell you tonight, Trump is in no position to strike a hard bargain. His approval rating, viewers, is down but 8%. And inflation, viewers, in America is creeping up. Yes, viewers, 2.7, 2.8%, which is above the central bank's target. And viewers, pegged on the back foot, Trump has got the message. India's autonomy is not for trade. In the end analysis, the biggest concession US President Donald Trump may have secured out of Prime Minister Modi was not on tariffs or even market access, but on optics. The right to announce the so-called deal first. I say so-called because with Trump, no deal is a deal until it is inked. And even then, viewers, it can be rewritten. Canada and Mexico lamented that fact and learned that the hard way. What Modi and Trump have actually finalized is a framework. It's not a deal as yet. Officials on both sides will now sit down to hammer out a joint statement followed by the formal signing. That distinction matters. Even so, enough is now in the public domain to draw some clear conclusions. And here it is on your screens, viewers. I'm putting out some of the scoops that we have been able to get out of government to be able to put together what's in this deal, what's the fine print. Nearly $30 billion worth of Indian exports will face an 18% tariff. Labor-intensive sectors are expected to gain competitiveness. There is no change in tariffs for sectors covered under Section 232, including automobiles and steel. India, in return, intends to buy up to $500 billion worth of US products over 5 years, from oil and LNG to aircraft chips, technology products, and data center equipment. About $44 billion worth of exports, including pharmaceuticals. Mobile phones, minerals, and natural resources will remain exempt from reciprocal tariffs. But the most telling detail is this: India's red lines on agriculture and dairy have been respected, viewers. That's what you're seeing on your screens. They have been fully respected. That is what highly placed sources in government are telling us. Of course, tonight, viewers, the Minister for External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, is in America and he will be meeting his counterpart, Secretary Rubio. And they will also be going over some of these terms. As I said, the most telling detail is this: India's red lines on agriculture and dairy have been respected. And why am I repeating this? Why is this such a big headline? Because, viewers, it was the single reason why for these 9-10 months we have not had a deal, and we have had, viewers, instead recrimination. We have had Trump saying all sorts of things and Indo-US relations taking a bit of a dive. There was a time, however, viewers, when India would not have been able to hold that line. Across the 1990s and 2000s, New Delhi repeatedly accommodated US pressure, from stricter IPR rules under the WTO to geopolitical alignment during the civil nuclear deal, cutting Iranian oil imports, absorbing the loss of GSP benefits, and softening positions on trade, data, and climate. Modi's India is very different, viewers. And let me break it down for you, because I've had people from government talking about what is in it for us. So Trump has claimed zero tariff and non-tariff barriers. But, viewers, Prime Minister Modi has not jumped to confirm. In fact, he hasn't. Trump has claimed stop purchase of Russian oil. But what we are being told is, viewers, that people first policy will continue to guide decisions on where India is going to purchase and from whom. In fact, India will buy US and Venezuelan oil, says Trump. But what we are being told is that India will buy oil at best prices from wherever it can. So if America wants us to buy their oil, they have to give us a very competitive price. That, viewers, is not surrender. That is striking a bargain. And you can only strike a bargain from a position of some strength, some leverage. Trump has claimed that Modi requested for a trade deal. What we know, and this is being put out, viewers, in several publications in America, that Trump pushed the deal after the India-EU pact. Because he lost leverage with India. India now had another partner, 1 billion people consumer base to sell to. Trump has claimed that reciprocal tariffs were cut from 25% to 18%. PM Modi said made in India goods to face 18% tariff. This is the only place, viewers, where by and large the two sides in their own public communications have sort of nodded in agreement. Trump claims India pledged to buy $500 billion worth of US products. Government says $500 billion invested in US sectors over 6 to 7 years. So it's not happening tomorrow. In any case, viewers, it's illogical because India's total viewers, trade, its investments globally, its imports, in other words, are about $670 billion. How can it give Trump $500 billion? From where will it be able to do it? Now, over the last decade, India has emerged, viewers, as an independent and indispensable economic pole, which is the reason why we can even today, stand up to Trump. At 17%, it is second only to China in contributing to global real GDP growth. It's even ahead of America at 9%. As Ian Bremmer of the Eurasia Group puts it, no serious conversation on the global economy can happen without India. That economic has translated into leverage. It explains why Trump, who has publicly browbeaten even close US allies, has dared not to badmouth Prime Minister Modi. He's chosen restraint with India. But the opposition here in this country isn't convinced. And worse, lacking a good argument to counter Modi and the NDA, it is now resorting to the cheapest and the vilest slander. Viewers, Rahul Gandhi making some untenable accusations today. Listen in.
मेन बात यह है कि हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर दिया गया है और हिंदुस्तान के जो किसान हैं, आप सब समझिए कि इस ट्रेड डील में आपकी मेहनत को, आपके खून पसीने को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बेच दिया है और वो इसलिए बेचा है क्योंकि ये कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है। सिर्फ आपको नहीं बेचा है, देश को बेचा है। इसलिए मुझे वहां नहीं बोलने देना।
It took Trade and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal to launch a counter-attack, a withering one, viewers. This is what he said.
कि राहुल गांधी जैसे नकारात्मक सोच रखने वाले नेता देश को आज गुमराह या भ्रमित करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं घोर निंदा करता हूं राहुल गांधी जी की। झूठ और फरेब के नाम पे वो लोगों को गुमराह करना चाहते हैं। उनको देश की तरक्की से कोई लेना देना नहीं। राहुल गांधी जी को क्या मिर्ची लगती है? राहुल गांधी जी को देश की प्रगति से नफरत है और उनके साथ जुड़कर डीएमके पार्टी के नेता हो, तृणमूल के नेता हो, उन्होंने जवाब देना पड़ेगा देश की जनता को कि इस नकारात्मक सोच के पीछे वो क्या चाहते हैं। यहां तक कि कुछ दिन पहले तक विपक्ष के नेता भी हमें पूछ रहे थे कि कब होगा यूएस डील, और मैं हैरान हूं ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स जो राहुल गांधी जी बार बार दिखाते हैं।
Well, viewers, in a Darwinian world, power commands respect. Washington may not see India as a strategic equal, but it has no choice but to treat it as a partner whose autonomy cannot be negotiated away. And today, that has become clearly apparent, and it doesn't matter what the opposition is saying. The proof of the pudding is in its eating, viewers. Who has come crawling? Viewers, sometimes the facts speak for themselves. And I just want to open this up because I want to go straight across to Rajiv Mantri, author and venture capital investor, Ajay Bagga, market expert, people who deal with the Indian economy, Shadad Poonawalla, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, also with us. Shadad, before we begin, I'm really sorry to hear about your mother. I hope she gets better. I'm terribly sorry to hear this news. And thank you for being with us, even though you have this hour of need. So thank you, deepest
Thank you, Rahul.
respect.
I appreciate it.
Viewers, I just want to begin with Rajiv Mantri and get a sense really of this deal. Rajiv Mantri, many people are saying it's a compromise with India's national security, its strategic interests, and of course its economic security. Where do you come in on this? I agree that there are not enough details, but there is enough now coming out from both sides that have told us that this deal is one between equals, where give and take has taken place, and we put out the facts.
No, so I think on many parameters, I think it's an excellent trade agreement which India is securing with the world's largest economy, and I think it is most welcome actually for the Indian economy. It is most welcome for our businesses, which will find markets in the US, both for B2B as well as B2C players, especially for labor-intensive industries. So I think it is most welcome. I don't agree at all that it is a compromise in this way and that way. What I find very amusing is that the same people who are asserting it's a compromise with India's security and so on are the ones who were taunting the government just a few weeks ago that why haven't you been able to close a trade deal? So it's funny how these critics change their colors baselessly, and it's just disappointing how they have debased the public debate and discourse around something which is of great importance, and it's a very big achievement for India to have delivered this after so many years of negotiation.
Yes.
And not just with the US, but also what we have seen recently with the trade agreement with the EU. So with two such very large economies, India has now got...
But we're not
trade agreements in
surprised.
place.
The world order is changing very quickly in India's favor. We are seeing the statistics. I just quoted one for you viewers. How India is contributing in a huge manner to the global GDP, global growth GDP. So this is not a bolt from the blue, but still, Mr. Bagga, how has Modi been able to clinch a deal by sticking to red lines? And net, what is the takeaway for you?
Yeah, Rahul, if we see the negotiating style has been old world diplomacy where back channel talks, backstage work has kept on happening while you maintained a very positive exterior for the front of the stage. Work has kept on happening, and there were a lot of stumbling blocks which India has addressed one after the other. So overall, the world is looking at this negotiation style. The world is looking at this as another way of handling Trump, where you're polite but firm and stick to your guns. The overall the deal right now, we are functioning off two social media posts. We don't have more details than that. But what the market is surmising is that the tariffs on India come down from 50 to 18%. Trump has mentioned quite a few things, which again in the Trumpesque world, those are more outliers, and they're probably extreme positions he has taken to negotiate downwards from them to his ultimate objectives.
Right.
But if India lands this 18%, which looks more or less a matter of hours now, where we'll see a joint statement coming out, so that will help a lot. Overall, the market mood turned very positive. I spoke to a lot of business leaders. They were very positive about it. You have to engage with the biggest economy in the world to prosper yourself.
Okay.
It brings the China plus one trade back in play. We can attract a lot of foreign capital, foreign technology for the China plus one trade.
Okay, so let me bring in Jeffrey Sachs and get a sense. He needs no introduction, viewers. One of the world's foremost experts, joins us. Jeffrey Sachs, thank you very much. Jeffrey Sachs, at a broad level, does this agreement reflect India's growing leverage or America's urgency perhaps to draw India closer at a time when de-risking from China and so forth is happening. What's happening here? We've suddenly had an announcement from DC yesterday.
Well, I think Trump basically has backed down with India, but he's backed down with a number of countries. I wouldn't read all that much into this, except that the U.S. position is just not very strong in general. Trump launched trade wars thinking that the United States is the be-all and end-all of the world economy. It's not. It is an important country, but by no means a determinative country. Of course, at the same extent, India should appreciate, while this is fine, what has been achieved, India's economic future does not depend on the United States, and it should not be viewed as depending on the United States. India's future depends on its relations across the world, like the EU agreement that was reached, like the improving relations with China, like the improving and strengthening trade with the Southeast Asian countries. So what's happening here is basically that Trump's whole premise of remaking the world because of America's threats and so forth was a bit delusional from the beginning, and this is a bit of backing down. This is a fine agreement, but I would not overinterpret it as some kind of strategic success or new strategic alliance of India and the United States. It's an okay agreement with a very erratic U.S. government.
So obviously the next question, of course, is what brought Trump off his high horse? Is it specifically the fact that India has been able to, in some senses, diversify its trade basket very quickly and therefore retaining some degree of leverage over Washington? Or is it just because Trump ran out of claims? He's already being hit by as you know, a squall at home because of the Epstein files and so forth. So is it a bit of both? Is it all of these? What is it really?
Yes, the Trump administration is not a successful government. It's not a popular government. Look at Prime Minister Modi. He's hugely popular. President Trump is not popular. He has a huge net disapproval rating. We have troops in our cities right now. We have people being killed by the paramilitaries in our own cities. The economy serves the super rich, but it doesn't serve the rest of Americans. So this is a rather unhappy phase for the U.S. All of Trump's machinations in the past year don't deliver anything for his economic base, nor are they going to, because they never made sense to begin with. They weren't strategic, they were short-term, they were tactical, and it may be, by the way, we still don't know, but the U.S. Supreme Court could rule that all of this outside of the law within days or weeks, something that I think from a legal basis they absolutely should do. Maybe they're going to cower from doing it on a political basis. But Trump is abusing his authority, but not in any strategic way. He's not popular. His approval ratings are going down, because nothing that he's doing is really working. So when you say, is this a recalibration in some way, the answer is yes. But we have to say from the beginning, the entire line of attack on India was so mind-bogglingly stupid of the U.S. It made no sense from a strategic point of view, from an economic point of view, from no point of view. So this is a glimmer of a return towards some rationality inside the U.S.
Okay, so let me ask you before I bring in Shehzad Poonawala, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Sachs, realistically, would an agreement like this have been possible without Prime Minister Modi's own political authority at home? He commands the respect of millions and billions of Indians, which means that he is in a position to drive weight and drive a bargain or a deal when he thinks it is right.
He clearly did a very, very good job. I'm not surprised. He usually does. And he did a very good job here. Again, though, I think the deeper point is that India is doing a good job not by somehow aligning with the United States, but by forging strong relations around the world. And I've said repeatedly, and I'll say it again, India should avoid being used by the United States. You know, I am no fan of the Quad. I'm no fan of arrangements where India looks anti-China. I think what is needed, India is a great power. It's one of the superpowers of the world. It's well led, and it needs good relations, of course, with the US if it can get them, with Europe, with Russia, with China. It shouldn't take sides, and I think that's the deeper strategy. I hope that's the strategy that India is following because it's the right strategy.
Well, coming from US economist Jeffrey Sachs, it's high praise. But Mr. Sachs, before I bring in Shahzad Poonawala, it did strike me to ask you this question since you've touched upon it. Some Trump supporters and, very importantly, his own cabinet colleagues, you know, the people in his government, had said India will come crawling before long and will beg Trump for a deal. And opposition leaders here at home feel that India has surrendered. What do you make of this? Is this the case?
No, India obviously did not surrender. We don't know all the terms. I hope that everything looks as it is. You can't believe Trump on anything he says. Unfortunately, this is a sad reality. But this is no surrender. This is fine. And with an erratic U.S. government, this was well done. But with all of the politeness and fulsome praise between the leaders, it is more important this year for India that it's the president of the BRICS, because the BRICS is the real story in this world, which is the fast-growing countries of the world building a multipolar world and not succumbing to delusions, unfortunately, from my own country, which still harbor the idea that the U.S. can whip India around or make India part of America's anti-China policy and all this nonsense. The U.S. government is incompetent. It didn't know what it was doing. The fulminations by the likes of Peter Navarro were absurd. I have to apologize. He got a PhD from my economics department, from Harvard Economics Department. Worst PhD we ever gave, I'm absolutely convinced. But this is a kind of ignorance, and maybe they took a step back from the ignorance yesterday.
Okay, Jeffrey Sachs, stay on with me because I'll come back to you after this. What are the red lines, Mr. Poonawala, that the government has drawn and that Trump has not been able to cross? Could you give us an idea? Because your opponents, and we will be, of course, chancing upon them in just a few moments, have constantly come out and said that you surrendered. So, explain
so first
to us.
of all, you know, it is only natural for the double engines of democracy and economic power to align in this way, especially when they have a shared value system, when they have great deep people-to-people contact, and when they have more or less a globally aligned vision for the world. So I think it was only a matter of time that dosti and diplomacy would pay off. And the reason I use these terms, dosti and diplomacy between doers pays off, is because there are no red lines between friends, but we both understand each other's areas of sensitivity. For instance, the 50% tariff was hurting our exporters, it was hurting our manufacturers, it was hurting our textile people, it was hurting a lot of our people, and therefore it has now been brought down to 18, and in fact we've been given a competitive edge compared to the wider neighborhood that we are in. So that is dosti and diplomacy paying off between doers, point number one. Point number two, as Piyush Goyal ji has said, and I thank CNN News 18 for not just their concern but also for giving me the platform to articulate my views on this issue. I've written a piece on CNN News 18 that how agriculture and sensitive areas have been kept out of the mix, because obviously we can't have a situation like it was in the UPA tenure that we allow genetically modified crops to come in, or we allow our farmers, who are majority of them are subsistence in farming, to just live in daily life. They should be subjected to such brutal competition. So therefore farming and agriculture will be kept out. But there are other takeaways from this as well. One of the takeaways is that India has truly arrived at the global high street in that sense, because it's followed up by the India-EU FTA, That was the mother of all deals, and I know some people are calling this as the pita of all deals. So we have both mother and father of all deals happening with an economy which, by the way, according to some Nawabs of negativity, is a dead economy. Point number two, I would like to underline and underscore is that optimism, patience and persistence pays above cynicism. Look, a lot of people were telling us that we should perhaps use the way other countries were dealing with America.
Yeah.
But we have deep relations with America. We respect their point of view on many of the issues. We are also equally committed to peace in Ukraine. And therefore, I think those steps we've taken. But I also want to point out to a very informed editor, and I think he has put it out in a way that is most succinct, that one of the red lines which we've always drawn is the fact, and the three big takeaways the editor has tweeted, is that no compromise on farm, dairy and agri sectors. Secondly, that we will put people first while deciding our oil purchase strategy, and that we've done, whether it's buying from Iran or Venezuela, and before Venezuela sanction, or now Russia. And third, that we all want trade to grow, and over a period of time that trade will grow. It may achieve many targets. So I think that editor was you, and I think nobody could have put it more succinctly than you.
Thank you, Shahzad. Thank you. Stay on with me, because very quickly, Jeffrey Sachs, before we let you go, do you think this is going to go through, or Trump can do another U-turn and do something weird? And if there is change in leadership in Washington, how resilient is this agreement going to prove to be?
I don't think that change in Washington leadership would change this, because what Trump had done with the 50% tariffs was not any kind of consensus. This was an impetuous, ill-advised, non-strategic move.
Okay.
So I don't think that this is vulnerable in that way. Nobody in Washington, other than this narrow circle around Trump, believed in this attack on India. The only thing, again, I would add is don't count on a strategic relationship with the United States. America has no strategy right now. India needs its own strategy. India is a superpower. India is the most populous nation in the world. India is president of the BRICS. India has lots of friends, lots of trade partners. It doesn't need some special relationship with the United States, because the U.S. under Trump doesn't have special relationships. It has instability.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey Sachs, for, as usual, putting things out there as bluntly as possible. Critic, obviously, of his own government's policies there, but clearly someone who's speaking objectively. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me now open this up, and thank you also, Mr. Bagga, for being here with us. Let me bring in Mr. Pavan Verma and Dr. Sumansi Raman. Good evening, gentlemen. Pavan Verma, this particular deal, and this is an important question that I'm asking you, from the information that we are getting and I'm putting out, and of course, one has to say that there is nothing on paper as of now, except for the two principals who put stuff out on their social media handles, which seem to suggest that, yes, we've come to this 18% and so forth, but nowhere does it suggest that India has surrendered its autonomy. Do you agree with this, or do you go along with what the opposition is saying, that no, this has been a wanton surrender of our strategic autonomy, something that we have guarded with our lives since independence?
Thank you, Rahul. I believe that at this stage, either blind condemnation or blind euphoria is misplaced. As you know, Rahul, a trade deal has been announced, but both the benediction and the devil lies in the details. We have yet to get product-wise schedules, timelines, tech agreements in detail to make an informed assessment. But given what we know, I think there are some pros and some cons which we can at this moment discuss in an objective manner. If you ask me about the pros, I think that the breakthrough of the deal has put again India-US strategic relations in some manner as relevant and something to be nurtured for the future. Secondly, I think without doubt it has boosted investor confidence. Thirdly, the fact that the punitive unfair tariffs of 50% have been brought down to 18% is good for our economy. There are sectors in our economy such as textiles, gems and jewelry, footwear, pharma and chemicals, and some engineering products which will benefit in terms of greater competitiveness from these reduced tariffs. Now, as against these pros, there are some cons, and I think we should think about them until all the details are on the table. First of all, in my view, the tariffs for India have been brought down to 18%. That's good. But just a year ago, they were 2.5%. And in this arrangement, the tariffs for US imports into India will be at 0%. So I don't think it's an entirely fair arrangement where Indian goods will be taxed at 18% and US imports into India will be at 0%. Secondly, I think there are some gray areas. Are we, as part of this agreement, expected to reduce the discounted fuel we buy from Russia? We get them at good prices. We don't know what are the demands made on it. You say from informed sources that we will buy from the cheapest source. But it's not only about price competitiveness. Does Venezuelan oil suit us, our refineries, or do we need to continue to buy from Russia? And if are there any constraints put on that? Thirdly, I think in my view, agriculture is a sensitive sector, Rahul. I'm not saying that we have crossed the red lines, but subsidized products from the United States coming in at 0% tariff into a primarily agricultural country. We have to see the details to see what they will mean for our agricultural sector.
Okay, very quickly, let me bring in.
Address some of these points. First of all,
I also wanted to bring in Mr. Gupta. Yes.
Yeah, but very quickly. First of all, optimism is not blind euphoria. Now, let me address the 3 points he's made. He said 18% is better than 50%, but it was 2.5% a year ago. But this 18% has to be seen in the context of what China is paying, that's 34%. What the other Southeast Asian or South Asian countries are paying, which is about 20 to 25%. So it's in a context that tariffs operate. And by the way, this is a peak tariff. So it's not that every good of America is going to come in at 0%. There might be some that might come at 0%. Some of ours might also go in at 0%.
Which is what we are being told.
That's right. It doesn't work like this. For instance, a Ford car, a car made in America is not going to come in at 0%. Nobody believes that. So I'm sure Pawanji is much smarter than that. He's been a diplomat. Secondly, then he said that discounted Russian oil. Let me tell you the stated government position of India. We have made it very clear on these issues that our imports of oil are based on market factors done with the only and overall objective of ensuring the energy security of 1.4 billion people of India. This is the official stand of the government of India, made at an earlier time. And today also, forget everybody else. Kremlin has issued a statement saying that they have found no communication from India. By the way, I was watching a conversation with Zaka in the morning, and 75% of Russia's oil comes from 2 or 3 companies which are sanctioned. Now, if it becomes unaffordable for us, at one point Iran oil was affordable. It became unaffordable, we went somewhere else. So as market forces determine whatever is for the energy security of my country, I will do it. Thirdly, subsidized products into an agri market. No, agriculture is going to be kept protected. The assurance has come from the minister. I think we should wait for the details to come out before coming and speculating.
Okay, Mr. Gupta and Dr. Raman. Yes, Mr. Gupta.
Good evening, Rahul. You know, a very interesting question was asked that if our refineries can even process oil from Venezuela, the Jamnagar refinery, one of the biggest in the world, ranks very highly on the Nelson Complexity Index. In fact, it's ideal to process the kind of heavy crude that comes from Venezuela. So I don't know where this question comes from. Number two, yes, we need the fine print of the FTA, but my problem is people are drawing all sorts of wrong conclusions. When we say $500 billion worth of goods, we're not saying it at 0%. The FTA would be discussed, the trade deal would be discussed. The tariffs would vary from product, from category. Right now, even for the agricultural products that we import from the US, the tariffs range from 30% to 150%. So, you have to look at how the trade deal is negotiated, how the final tariffs come into play. And even for our side, some of the tariffs would get reduced. Number 3, on the Russian oil. People forget that in 2022, you had a Democrat president in the White House. We defied the Europeans, the Americans, and we continued to import oil from Russia. We, in fact, increased our exports across 22 and 23. So I don't know why people have this fear that now committing to not buying Russian oil will suddenly take the whole idea of market forces away from Indian policy making. If we get better price somewhere, we'll obviously go for it. Number 4, there is a confusion going on, Rahul, and I want to address this. People are confusing opening up the agri and dairy sector with importing certain agricultural goods. Let's be very clear. We import agricultural goods worth $1.7 billion roughly from America, which majorly includes dry fruits, which includes some dairy products where our farmers are not being hit, we're not being forced to compete, and some other products. Now, you can expect tariffs in these categories to go down. Even cotton is one of the exports, but we produce far more cotton than we import. So we need to understand opening up dairy sector is not the same as reducing tariffs on certain agricultural goods that come from America. That's all.
Okay, so Dr. Raman, where's this talk coming from? I think it's a bit premature that this has been a surrender.
Okay, Rahul, despite what Mr. Gupta, Mr. Poonawalla and all the others have said, except for Mr. Piyush Goyal's press conference, where about 95% of the time was spent on attacking Rahul Gandhi, we have not had any official statement from the government. We, of course, had the usual, quote-unquote sources speaking, which usually starts off when the government doesn't want to say something directly. So the sources are called into play. My point is very simple. We do not know the terms of the deal. Everybody in this conversation agrees we do not know the terms of the deal. So all we have to go now are 2 posts on X, one by President Trump and one by Prime Minister Modi. We don't have anything else. We have Mr. Piyush Goyal's
We have trade data.
No, excuse me, sir. Let me finish. We did not. We have Mr. Piyush Goyal's press conference, which actually clarified nothing. He actually said the final discussions are going on, and
this is a framework. This is a framework agreement. This is a framework agreement. So, no one is saying it's a deal.
One second, Rahul. How can you blame? Yes, Mr. Trump is not known to be totally truthful. Everybody knows that. But right now, that's all that you have. If the government had held a press
so all the more reason,
and it said, look, very simple.
Yeah.
Agriculture, the US Agriculture Secretary has put out a very clear post. She says, new US-India deal will export more American farm products to India's massive market, lifting prices, pumping cash into rural America. Agricultural trade deficit with India was 1.3 billion. India's growing population is an important market for American agricultural products.
Yeah, we know what she said.
Yeah, you know what she said. Now, somebody from our side has to come and say, look, this is what that post means. Nobody has said it.
Okay, Mr. Poonawalla.
You appreciate
Mr. Raman.
Mr. Poonawalla,
one second.
One second.
Assumption
I
here
understand.
is one second. Just one second. The assumption here is also.
Make this distinction.
Okay. So
let me
one second, Dr. Raman. There is also nothing that has come out except for a Trump Truth Social post to suggest.
Absolutely.
One second. So just listen to me. So would you then agree that the opposition by today? One second,
Nobody has refuted it from the government.
Okay, one second. So that means that the opposition can come out and start yelling bloody murder without seeing the corpse, the condition of the corpse. I mean, how does that work? Now, wait a minute, viewers. Just one quick point. Just one second. One quick point. Viewers, Trump has come out and said India is going to. One second.
Wait.
1 second, sir.
Then he will not allow me to get a chance to speak only because this is what he wants. He does not want to hear the facts. Let me come in, Rahul, very quickly. Now, I'm going to quote Sumansi Raman. You have to be fair in this debate. You spoke your turn. I heard you out. Now, when it is time for a rebuttal, you don't allow anybody else to speak. Rahul, this can't be the way to do this debate, especially on your channel.
Okay,
your
just
show.
30 seconds, Mr.
No,
Dr.
you
Raman.
can't be indulging him. How is this fair?
30 seconds,
But
let
he
him
does
finish.
not finish in 30
You
seconds.
can
He's already got his time. No, I don't want to indulge him. I don't want to
One
yield. I
second,
want
one
to
second.
give my point, then he can come back in. Now, first of all, quoting Mr. Sumansi Raman, he said that terms of deal have not been finalized.
Yeah.
So then when they have not been finalized, how does he know that we have surrendered our agricultural interests? He is contradicting himself. Let me complete. Secondly, he says that the Indian side has not given a formal statement. Although Piyush Goyal is the minister in charge, came and did a press conference, that's not formal. But an agricultural secretary has put on Twitter something that is considered to be the gospel truth. Please, sir, please listen to the full statement, then you can come in. Thirdly, I want to ask you that Mr. Piyush Goyal has said that sensitive sectors will be protected. You want to go by what agricultural secretary has said. She has not said that her goods will come at the cost of Indian agriculture. She has not said that. Everyone will say that our goods should be imported, exported. And finally, on Russian oil, let me explain Sir, please, Mr. Raman, have the courtesy to let me speak.
A deal is a two-way deal. This is not, you
it's
block
not-
one lot and you don't allow the other lot.
I
Come
don't
on.
understand.
Exactly.
But
A deal
Mr.
is a
Raman,
two-way
whatever
deal.
points you have to say, why are you being so aggravating to not listen to the other side? I am completing point by point rebuttal. Please. Now the hypocrisy of this entire ecosystem of negativity is they crib about Russian oil not being purchased. This is the same lot when we started purchasing Russian oil said that why are you doing this? It is unfair to Ukraine. Ukraine needs peace. Buying oil from Russia is the most unethical, inhuman thing to do. Vote against Russia. This same lot of people were giving us lectures.
Okay.
And now they are saying, why aren't you buying oil from
Can I
Russia?
rebut?
Yeah, very
Can I
quickly, sir.
rebut?
Very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah.
The same lot of people
May I
who
also
spoke
come in,
about
please,
India's
Rahul?
strategic autonomy in being free to choose whoever we wanted to buy oil from.
So tell me
is
something,
now
sir. Is
maintaining
India? No,
silence.
sir.
It's a simple yes or no. Have we
I'll tell
stopped
you.
buying
I'll
oil
draw
from
a
Russia?
distinction here.
Yes or
The
no?
government is very clear and it has
Yes or
mentioned
no
this in the
question.
past. Okay, sir, allow me.
Arey yaar,
Arey,
1
nahi.
minute, Rahul. I'm only asking a yes or no.
I know.
question.
So can you allow?
Mr. Trump
Can you allow
says
somebody to put?
India has
Okay.
agreed to stop buying oil
Yes.
from
Okay. Can
Russia.
we respond now,
the
sir?
government
Can
needs to say,
Mr.
yes, we have
Poonawala
agreed.
remind you?
No, we have
Can I
not
come in?
agreed.
Okay, sir.
Can I
But
come in?
would you let somebody now? Mr. Poonawala will tell you very simply this: that
But
India
he is not
only.
the government spokesperson.
Oh, India. He is the BJP
No,
national
he is the spokesperson
spokesperson.
of the ruling party.
So
He is
what?
the spokesperson of the
He's
ruling
representing
party.
his party's interests here, and
I quoted
he's
Rahul
giving you
in a
a.
statement.
Now you see, we can
You
keep
are-
changing the goalposts, viewers.
Rahul, I represent
Just 1
our
minute. Let's
party,
go
but
back
give
to the
me a
past.
voice.
Is India a rule-abiding? Please, let me speak. If India is a rule-abiding world power, and if certain entities from Russia have in fact been sanctioned, and this is a decision that has been taken with the support of the United Nations, whether we voted alongside or we didn't, we are not purchasing that oil because we believe in the Committee of Nations, the rule of the majority, and international law.
Has India
That's it.
stopped
I mean, either you want India to become an
Rahul, please
outlaw.
allow, please allow,
Yes,
please
Mr. Gupta,
allow
very
another
quickly, and I'm
opinion
wrapping
to
up.
come in.
I'm
Rahul,
wrapping up,
please.
Mr.
No,
Gupta,
again,
please.
or no?
No, Rahul, please allow. You have given me the
Okay,
only
30
one
seconds,
chance.
I have got to go to Mr. Ian Bremer. He's waiting for me. Please, 30 seconds, Mr. Pavan Verma. Yes.
Very quickly, Rahul. I am saying just like condemnation of the trade deal is premature,
That's it. Then
the absolute defense of it is equally premature. We don't have the
Yeah, so-
details.
so
And
no one is-
secondly,
no one is
please
saying that
don't-
all-
Let's not have a lecture on a rules-based international
no one is having
order.
a lecture on
President
anything.
Trump is
I'm only
mercurial.
stating facts,
The
Mr. Verma.
rule-based international order. No, I'm just saying the rule-based international order is subordinate to national interest. So let's wait for the details.
Right. Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. That is
They
a
wanted
fair
us to
enough,
vote against
that is a
Russia.
fair enough. No, hang on. That is a fair enough proposition. Please tell Rahul Gandhi not to block Parliament tomorrow. Simple. Let's wait. We leave it at this, viewers. I'm going to go straight across to Mr. Bremer.